Blue Bomber was my hero. And when Mega Man X arrived, I was met with a reality. A reality where the world has moved on and my childhood hero was nowhere to be found. Where did he go? Did he fall in battle, or was he simply forgotten by time? Naturally, I researched about it, and I got my answer. So let me share them with you. So, what actually happened to the original Mega Man? To really wrap our heads around this, we have to look at the chronological difference between the classic era and the Mega Man X era. In the classic games, we're typically in the year 20XX. The world is bright and somewhat optimistic despite Wily's interference, and robots are advanced tools, or should I say, companions. When we jump to Mega Man X, we are in 21XX. A full century has passed. I've spent a lot of time reading the full story, and the late classic games, especially Mega Man 11, don't give us a final ending. In fact, they do the opposite. They show Rock at the height of his power, utilizing the double gear system to match Wily's latest threats. But as we move toward the end of the 20XX era, everything goes cold. Capcom has been careful about this, as they've never shown us a Mega Man 12 or 13 where Rock meets a definitive end. By the time Dr. Kane discovers X's capsule in the year 21XX, the original Mega Man is already a legend of the distant past. It's a bit weird for me to think about this character we spent years controlling just ceases to exist in the record. I mean, there is no grave, no memorial in the city square, and no mention of him in X's initial logs. He's just gone. On top of that, he's replaced by a successor who has his name, but doesn't share any of his memories. Could robots like Mega Man simply be retired? This is a theory that I find both cool and depressing. We often think of robots as immortal, but the Mega Man universe has always shown that they have a shelf life. And the most satisfying evidence for this comes from Mega Man 9. In that game, the plot is around Dr. Light's older robots, Concrete Man, Magma Man, and others who are scheduled for decommissioning because they've reached their expiration date. It was a real, wait, what moment for me when I first played it. The idea that a robot as heroic as Rock could just be told, your time is up, you're now useless, is crazy to me. Mega Man 9 even introduces a place where retired robots are kept on display. They call it the Robot Museum, and we see Gutsman and others there, literally standing a statue. Could this have been Rock's fate? It's possible that as technology got better, Dr. Light realized that Rock's internal systems were becoming obsolete. In the Rockman Corner archives and various lore breakdowns, there is a consistent mention of how the classic cast simply burned out. Dr. Light spent his final years working on X, a robot with a capacity to think, feel, and grow. You know, it's entirely possible that Rock, being a modified lab assistant, reached a point where he could no longer be upgraded. I like to imagine him living out his final days in peace at Dr. Light's lab, perhaps helping the aging doctor with his final masterpiece, before, his systems finally gave out or were powered down for the last time. It's a quiet end, but one that fits the human heart Dr. Light gave it. The Quint theory. Was Mega Man turned into a weapon? If you want to get into the really weird stuff, we have to talk about Quint. For those who didn't play the Game Boy titles, Mega Man 5 introduces a character that still gives me the shivers. Quint is a green pogo stick jumping robot who is explicitly stated to be Mega Man from the future. According to the plot of Mega Man 2 and 5 on the Game Boy, Dr. Wily used a time machine called the Time Skimmer to travel several decades into the future. There, he found a peaceful era where Mega Man had been retired and reverted back to a simple housekeeping robot. Wily kidnapped this future version of Rock, remodeled him, reprogrammed him to hate his past self, and sent him back in time to kill the current Mega Man. I find this theory tragic because if Quint is canon and the Game Boy games are generally considered part of the broader story, it means Rock's fate was to be weaponized against himself. Sucks to be him, huh? However, there's a silver lining. In the game, the present-day Mega Man defeats Quint. What happens next is debated. Some say Quint was destroyed, while others say he was scrapped. But the existence of Quint proves that a future Mega Man existed in a state of peace before Wily's interference. While it doesn't explain what happens to him in the X timeline, it hints that his natural path was all about retirement rather than a heroic death in battle. Why Capcom refuses to give a straight answer? I've gone through some interviews with Capcom producers, and they all seem to have a poker face when it comes to the bridge between the two eras. There's a famous quote from Keiji Inafune where he mentioned a catastrophe that occurred between the two series, but he never elaborated on it. And as we know, this has led to decades of speculation. Capcom's silence feels very intentional. From a business perspective, why would you want to kill off your most iconic mascot? If you say Mega Man died a horrible death, you alienate the fans of the classic series. If you say he's still alive somewhere, you undercut the stakes of the X series. So by leaving it a mystery, they keep the conversation alive. When you look at official art books like Mega Man Official Complete Works, you can see the focus on the evolution of the concept rather than the death of the character. Do they view Mega Man not as a person, but as a legacy? The original Rock was the prototype for the idea of a robot with a soul, and X is the realization of that dream. In the eyes of the creators, Rock didn't need a death scene, because his spirit lives on in X. But man, as a fan, I just want to know if he's okay. Is that too much to ask for? Did Zero really kill the classic heroes? This is the big one. The Zero killed everything theory is the most famous piece of Mega Man creepypasta out there. And I get why it's popular. It's dark, it's edgy, and it explains why everyone is gone. Alright, hear it out. It suggests that Dr. Wily finally completed Zero, his ultimate masterpiece, and Zero went on a mindless ramp slaughtering Rock, Roll, Proto Man, and Dr. Light before being sealed away. The evidence points to Zero's ending in Mega Man The Power Fighters 2, where Wily shows a silhouette of Zero and speaks of destroying Mega Man. Then there's Zero's Maverick origin in Mega Man X4, where we see him as a bloodthirsty monster. However, after spending way too much time on Reddit threads and cross-referencing developer comments, I'm confident in saying that, wait for it, this probably didn't happen. There's no record of Zero finding the classic cast. In fact, people are pointing out that Zero was sealed away as he was uncontrollable and carried the Maverick virus. If he had wiped out the world's greatest hero, the world of Mega Man X wouldn't be a technological utopia. It would be a wasteland. And hey, Dr. Light was alive long enough to finish X and record hundreds of holographic messages. If Zero had killed Rock and Roll, Dr. Light would likely have mentioned it or programmed X with a specific directive to stop Zero. Instead, Light treats the future with a sense of cautious hope. I think the Zero theory is fun, but it doesn't align with the tone of the series. The classic heroes likely just faded away as the world changed. Marvelous verdict. In the end, the fate of the original Mega Man remains one of gaming's greatest unsolved mysteries. Is he in a museum? Has he lived out his days in peace? We have no clue. Only speculation. But anyways, thanks for staying around, and go ahead and comment your own theories about the original Mega Man.